Well, friends, another week of Tiny's Universe. Better late than never. Uh, we're coming at you guys again Thursday, a little bit late tonight, but as always, there's some super cool stuff going on this week. And, I can't wait to get into some of the news that's coming up and some of the stuff that's happening. So, with that, I don't want to waste any time as usual. Evan, please.
Hello? Is this thing on? I don't know. I did that accidentally the first time, but now it just never gets old. How's it going?
My son's been doing this thing lately where he's like does his hands and he's like it's a tongueless snake or something, and I'm like, and it's I don't know, man. So that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, I think we should do a whole show that's just hand puppets at one time for fun. Like, pick your hand puppet. But yes, hello, good evening, and I'll just tell on myself. I've been working on a bunch of stuff today and totally lost track of time. This is normally a 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock show update. And I looked over at the clock and was in the middle of actually getting stuff ready for this upcoming next Macroverse drop. And it's kind of in the middle of doing some of the design work on it. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, hello, it's 5:30. Let's go, Tiny. And then came over and saw the message from you that was like, are we doing this tonight? I'm like, yes. Sorry. So apologies for
one thing that's always excusable is like, I was working on something super awesome, and it's like, oh well.
I mean, fortunately, that is generally the case. I consider myself very lucky for that. So. But yeah, I think let's jump right in. So we want we'll talk a little bit about Drip House stuff. We've got stuff to talk about that every week, basically, because we're doing a bunch of stuff there. I want to give an update on Mixprint and MixPass. Been a couple of questions in the Discord and actually some good news and some exciting updates to share there. And then I want to talk about storytelling sessions, which we also kicked off this week, and want to kind of sound the call to action for people to come and play because we're gonna have some fun there. So, Tiny, where do you want to jump in first?
I mean, I always love Drip House, and as we were coming on, I just locked in and secured my DMC drop. So I don't know if you want to start with that. I don't, I saw the Darkland PFPs, and those were phenomenal. I mean, I'm a super fan of the art in the comic anyway, but to see the PFP collection coming to life again, like just so exciting. I mean, I can only imagine the different traits and the different, all the different things that you'll be able to do with this collection. I mean, it's just going through it, and I mean, there's already some cool stuff there. So, it's super exciting, and I don't know. There's a lot to talk about there. I think even in the Discord, there's been a lot of questions still about the droplets and stuff, and that's something that we covered last week, and that actually helped out a lot. Trying to tell some people, what was happening, but no, let's go with it, man. I think between the two, man, I'm mind blown, really.
Well, let's talk about Darkland really quickly, and then we can spend another couple of minutes talking about this first DMC drop, and then a little bit more of what we have planned there, because both are very exciting to me. But so yeah, I mean, Darkland, we've said a bunch of times, like, we've created all of these really cool character collections, and have now been able to preview them, here on the Macroverse Drip House channel. So starting with the divers from Digital Pools, and then on to Aerosol. We call them taggers from the world of Aerosol, Friends and Fiends with Jason Brubaker, and then on into Darklanders here. So, this is all a preview of things to come in these larger character PFP collections. But what's been really fun about this experience for Drip is that not only has it been, just about time to show off some of the stuff that has been kind of sitting, just waiting for the right time and place to reveal it for a little while. But also, I think, with something like Darkland, which is such a specific story, it's nice to be able to kind of suggest like some of the other facets of the world through these characters and start to think about, who are the other characters in this universe, in this that can be explored through storytelling, and that'll tie into the storytelling sessions that we're going to talk about. But this is a world populated by angels and demons and politics, and we kind of describe it as Game of Thrones in hell. And so you can kind of start to imagine how each of these characters might fit into the different factions. Are they angels? Are they demons? Are they fallen angels? Are they cursed humans that have been stuck in hell or purgatory? I think most of these actually all of these have wings, so I think we can assume they're angels or demons. But they have been so much fun to put together, and in this case, as we've approached each of these preview collections, these are kind of hand assembled by me and the artist who made the art. In this case, Frank Calico, who also did the art for the series. From the actual character collection, and then augmented in a few ways to make them special and exclusive for Drip. We're doing something unique here as well. So, with the way that Drip has evolved over the past couple of weeks, this secure function, which is now how you actually claim these drops. This is my feed here. You can see, everything that's come in, from the channels that I've subscribed to. And then, as you go through, you get access to everything, and then you pick and choose the things that you want to collect, which essentially mints them and puts them in your wallet. So like this, early Art, who I really like his work. So, we'll secure that one. And so then that shows up, in your vault, and you can see which things have you secured, which things are not as of yet secured. You can filter and kind of go through different things, and so it really lets you curate your collection in a way that is what you want it to be. What I also think is kind of interesting is one of the things we did with the Dead Town Zeds from the beginning was kind of become fascinated by the notion of the collection and rarity and the size of the collection, being somewhat dictated by the things that people most closely respond to or most resonate with. And I think that's one of the interesting facets of how this now works, is that, these things become available to everybody, but then you can see the number of them that got locked in the time period that they're available. So, this, 1.9 thousand people collected this one, 1.8 thousand people collected this one. So it gives some really interesting feedback around supply and demand, and kind of the way that people are vibing with the different pieces of the collection. It helps to really clarify rarity. And this hasn't happened for us yet, but we've heard from a couple of other drip creators. There have been a couple of drops now where the rare pieces were collected more than the common pieces or the base pieces, which all of a sudden makes the common pieces more rare. So, it to me, that stuff is all really interesting, just as how this works as a platform for fandom and for engagement with people that are interested in the work that we do. And so, I'm really enjoying the change as a way to more closely connect to the people that we'd like to, be connected to in regard to the things that we make. And then as a bonus, because of the way that this new system works, it puts a lot more emphasis on being able to really reward specific activity on the leaderboard. And so, we started to play with, and we'll talk about this with DMC, but we started to play with, like, how can we utilize droplets and donations as mechanisms to give more back to the people that are supporting the things that we're doing. And so in the case of Darkland, we actually created 2 additional, what we now call limited legendary new characters. And we revealed the first one earlier today. And so if you go in here. This character is now available to anyone that donates 10,000 droplets by midnight tomorrow. And then that will get, given to, just dropped into the collection. Still has to be secured because that's the way it works. But this will become available to that. So far, 7 of these have been locked down. And I think that's really cool. Like, it's another way to give back to people that are really supporting the channel. And I want to remind people, because I was thinking about this earlier, the way that the accounting of droplets has also changed. So, basically all of the droplet counts 10x'd with the change. So, when you think about what it costs to secure a droplet, that 10 droplets is what 1 droplet used to be. And that's been across the board. So, when you go to purchase droplets, 1,000 droplets is $1. So, when you see perks from us or from other people that says, donate 1,000 droplets to lock in a particular exclusive or, additional rare piece or something to, be able to, again, reward that participation or that support, 1,000 droplets is $1. 10,000 droplets is less than $10. So, I don't think it's an insane thing to put out there as to say, like, if you directly support the channel, we want to give you something special for that. So anyway, I think that's what we're saying, because when you think about like, 10,000 or 100,000 droplets, it kind of sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much.
Well, and I want to say too, like, not only, are you supporting the channel, but that's going back to the creators.
It is absolutely being shared back to the creators. And in the case of DMC right now, the way we've structured this, or finish what you were going to say, and then I'll switch.
No, I mean, that's it. It's, if you really like appreciate the artwork, I mean, there's no better way to give back than the drop. And, you can't beat it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll say, like, don't collect or donate just because. Collect and donate because you like the work that we're making and the things that we're trying to accomplish with, the additional kind of resources that this can provide over time. So, it really is. It's the thing I love about it is it's not like trying to sell a mint in the traditional way. It really is saying, like, come check out what we're doing. If you like it, support it. And if you support it at a level where it's, for lack of a more elegant way of saying it, worth us giving you more, we'll give you more.
Every single week.
Exactly. And there is one perk which I'm particularly excited about. Actually, I want to go back to Macroverse for just 1 second. So, on a whim, I just had this idea last week after we dropped is in between Hallow and Darklanders, actually. Is at the end of the Hallow drop before Darklanders, where, I just threw it out there. I was like, we love making little comics based on people's characters and PFPs. It's, we especially love doing it with our own collections, but it's also just fun to have that kind of collaboration. And so, I kind of did a quick breakdown of like, what would it cost us to do that and make sure that we take care of the artists and, people that would come in to help do that. And so on Twitter, I just threw out like, the first person that donates 1 million droplets, like, we'll make you a short comic, with your character or PFP. And within 5 minutes, somebody did it. So I was like, that's awesome. Like, I actually love this so much. And so we're now kind of starting. I just got the artist on board. I wrote a little story for it. It's super fun, and that'll actually get dropped back out through the drip channel and go up on the app. And so what a cool way to kind of like that loop of so many of these things that we do. So I decided, we're just going to make that a permanent thing. So anyone that donates 1 million droplets, that's about $700. Then that will get you a custom crafted comic, which will go out through our various channels. So I think it's really cool. I can't wait for that first one to go out. And then,
I saw that.
Yeah.
I went back through the perks the other day after the updates, and I was like, I was thinking like, wow, that's insane. I can't afford that, but how freaking cool. Like go through the leaderboard and it's like, wow, somebody did that.
Yeah, and he's awesome. Like I've been chatting with him in Telegram. He's got some great ideas.
Oh
Got
man.
the characters that he wants to use. He came up with a really fun little story. So I'm psyched. It's an artist that we've worked with before, who worked with us on Bushido's and Vogu. It's going to
Very
be
cool.
a lot of fun to put that out. And I think, there's more stuff we're going to play with that around, even beyond that perk, around how to involve the people that are engaged with the Drip House channel kind of in fun ways within the experience of making this stuff as well. So I'm excited about that. And then switching over to DMC. So, if you don't know, we're making a whole universe with DMC as the kind of focal point of it, kind of a hip hop MCU, if you will. And so we got DMC up here, as a Drip House channel as well, kind of using this as a way to build out the foundation for what we have planned over the rest of this year. And I say this all the time. Every time I get the chance to talk about Daryl, Daryl DMC McDaniels, one of the founding members of Run DMC, as we've gotten to know him over the past year and a half now, he's just he is every bit the person you would hope that someone that's accomplished the kinds of things that he's accomplished would be. So he's just a phenomenal person, phenomenal human, phenomenal collaborator, super creative, and a massive comics fan, which is how we got connected in the first place. So Daryl actually started a comic company about a decade ago called DMC, in that case standing for Daryl Makes Comics, and had a incredible a Justice League of creators that came and collaborated on cover art and different elements of that series. It's been out of print for a while, and so we came up with our own way of recontextualizing the original series, so we don't have to invalidate it. It's still canonical to this larger world that we're building, but our take on it is basically a DMC multiverse. And so in talking to Daryl, one of the things he cares a lot about is mental health. He's very he does a lot of work with children. Like, he's very focused on bringing positivity into the world and into people's lives, and at the same time is very cognizant of some of the moments in his life that were the kind of the magic moments where if he had turned right instead of left, he wouldn't have ended up in the place that he ended up. And there's a very, very specific moment where it's like two things: that he almost wasn't one of the founding members of Run DMC, and only for getting in the right car at the right time with the right people to go to the studio, and then being able to muster up the confidence to jump in the booth and really just do a live audition for Russell Simmons. Only because of those two things was he even in the group. So, now one of the absolute pioneers of, all of hip hop. So I think it's such an interesting thing to think about for all of us, those moments in our lives where you can almost feel like, if I had done this instead of that, like my life would have been different. And so that's the kind of fundamental concept for the DMC universe, is exploring Daryl's, quote unquote DMCs across the multiverse. So it's kind of a across the Spider-Verse kind of a concept, where if he had gone in this direction, he might be the villain. If he had gone in this direction, he might be someone who isn't a rapper at all. If he'd gone in this direction, he might be a video game character, and like a lot of room to play with what that actually means and looks like. And so that led to the first batch of drops that we're doing here on Drip House, which is all in collaboration with a bunch of really phenomenal Drip House artists, which also felt like a good way to give back to this community and to, make this a fun way to kind of get this all up and running. So this first one is with an artist who goes by Duxzy. He was primarily a pixel artist. He does, incredible work, obviously. And we're doing something fun with this for the leaderboard and kind of the mechanics of this as well. So today we put out the common piece, the base piece, which is pretty much a classic DMC, or 8-bit DMC. And then the way we're running this is that for every everyone that puts in 1,000 plus droplets. So remember, 1,000 droplets is $1. Everybody that puts in 1,000 droplets or $1 between now and midnight UTC tonight is going to get that rare piece automatically tomorrow. And so the next one that, we're kind of releasing this in a staggered fashion to kind of play with this, with the leaderboard and with the collectors and community. So this is the rare. That one will go out tomorrow for anyone that donates 1,000 droplets or more. And then the rest of the supply, if there's any additionals, will get put out through a weighted raffle, which basically means the more droplets you contribute to the channel, the more chances you have to also receive the rare piece. And then we're upping the ante a little bit from there for the legendary piece and saying anyone that donates 10,000 droplets automatically gets the legendary. And if there are any left over, then that gets raffled out to everyone that contributes anything. And then we have a couple of really special ultimates that I'm excited about for that as well.
Go ahead and show us that legendary real quick.
You know what? This is why you come and watch the stream, because Tiny will get me to show things that I wouldn't otherwise show, but that's part of the fun of it. So let's see. Those are the promos. Here, we'll show the first legendary. So
that's ridiculous.
Really cool. So this is the King DMC legendary piece. And then we've got a really special one that I'm not going to show, which is also like a really, really limited edition one, which we're going to put out through part of this mechanic as well. So all this is explained through here. 1,000 for the rare locks it in, 10,000 for the legendary locks it in. 100,000. Anyone who donates 100,000 droplets is going to get this exclusive kind of limited edition legendary. And then we put in 1 million droplet reward here too, because why not, for those people that really want to get something exclusive. In this case, it won't be a comic, but we'll create a special version of DMC as part of the DMC crew, which we've got some plans for over the rest of this year, which will be for anyone that decides to jump in at that level. So anyway, very excited about this. And I'll just say one last thing. Like every week is for the next number of drops. I think we've got about 15 plus drops scheduled with different collaborators, and so every week you're going to get a different take on this concept of the DMC universe through the creative lens of a different collaborator. And so I just love that that's how we're going to kick this off.
I just wanted to say I think it's down at the bottom of this one or one of those pages, though, there's a countdown as well. So, everybody can kind of see how much time is left to put those droplets in and get up on the leaderboard. And it's, to me, it's super, it's fun. To have a leaderboard and, I don't know, like everybody wants to see their name up at the top, so it's, I don't know. It makes it fun. It makes it competitive. And it's, at the same time, it's giving back to the creators and it's just phenomenal. I mean, something that started out for free and it's bringing people some revenue. I love to see it.
Yeah, 100%. And in the case of DMC, like, I think, I want to say, like, for these initial collaborations, like, we're giving all of the droplet revenue to the collaborator. So in this case, anything that comes in for this drop is going to go straight out to the artist, to Duxie for doing the incredible artwork for it. So that makes me happy as well. I like giving money to artists.
I just feel like it's such a hard thing for talented artists to get what they deserve, and that's one of the things I've always loved about Macroverse is how much you guys actually, work to make sure that, the artists and the creators get, paid well and get there and before anybody else. And to me, that's just like, no one else is doing that.
I'd like to do a lot more of it. It's one of the things that I like. I mean, just one of the things I like about Drip House in general is that, we talked about this a lot, but I think why I'm so bullish on the platform, among many reasons, is that I do think like the economics here make sense for the long term. So it's like if you can support your favorite creators for $1 or $10 or, you know, whatever it is that works for you, like it's a better model to me than something like Patreon, where, you know, you're paying $5 a month or what, or, you know, whatever it is for the various perks that creators offer. But at the end of that, you're, you know, really just hoping that they're going to make the thing that you like, and, you know, works great for a lot of people. So I'm not, you know, crapping on Patreon, but I think that, you know, there's such a direct relationship between the creator and the audience with a platform like this, where, you know, you really are getting something digital but tangible, you know, for that support. And I think, you know, when I look at it through the lens, not even just for us, but for many of the creators that I would like to see end up on the platform that we know that I think would benefit from this, and many of the artists that I've gotten to know a little bit in the creator group, you know, it's like, it's not the game of like, can I sell a 10,000 PFP collection and make a couple $1,000,000? It's, can I build a sustainable audience of fans and collectors that are willing to support me with, you know, somewhere between $1 and a couple $100 per drop? And over time, as that audience grows, you know, I'd rather have 100,000 people that want to give us $1 a week than 5 people that want to give us, you know, $10,000 a week. I mean, honestly, like I'd rather have a bigger audience that, you know, appreciates what we're doing and is engaged in what we're doing and can participate in what we're doing, and that the quantity of that, you know, enriches a lot of people's experience in life and lives than just a few people that, you know, are at a different level than everybody else. So I like that democratization of this. And man, I think, you know, Todd McFarlane joined the platform this past week, which is very exciting for me as a comics fan. It's, you know, just the beginning of a lot of other, you know, kind of high profile creators coming on board, among all of the lesser known but incredibly talented creators. So I think that just raises all boats here as well. So, you know, I remain very bullish on what is happening.
I think it's going to spread and it's going to become really wide stream. And I think, you know, I know you heard it, but I was on the, you know, the Twitter or the X, you know, space that he did with the Drip House team.
With Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's saying all the same stuff that we've been saying for years.
Yes.
About Web3 and comics and all of that. And, you know, it's like where we were at a couple of years ago, I feel like, where I was wanting to jump in and be like, wait, someone has all those answers. you just start seeing it yet. And
I will say, selfishly, I feel very validated by a lot of this stuff. Like,
so you know what I mean? No,
yeah,
it's just so much. I don't know. I've been saying for years, like, I can't wait, like, to be like, I told you so. I told you so. But I mean, like, no, to see, like, I mean, to me, that is a big step forward towards the mainstream coming in. And, you know, to think about Spawn drops and stuff coming out and Web3 and, you know, I don't know. It's just super uplifting. And I can't wait to see, again, like how that fan base takes off, and then competitiveness in between, you know, even just artists. There's not a ton of comic artists on the site, I guess I say it. But you know, you've got music, you've got art, you've got it covers pretty much everything. Yeah. But in the comics category, it's not running deep. So yeah. I'm curious to see with him coming in, you know how it evolves, really. Yeah. And then
no, me too.
I want to see too, like, how other comic drops compare to obviously what Macroverse is doing, because I just don't see many people being able to be like, hey, look what I did.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff coming for sure that I've seen a little bit of that I'm excited about. I think what it is going to be really, really interesting to see what Todd does. I think, he said something in that conversation, which made me excited as a fan, which is that, this is a step towards some on-chain, spawn material. So I know like the start of the first drop coming in at the end of this month is some variants for the cover of Spawn #1, which is exciting.
I was going to say, I heard some more rumors about him and Web3 as well. We'll get into later, but
I mean, he's been in the space for a few years. Like it's not a new thing for him.
Yeah.
And, I think that this is the first thing I think that I'm aware of that he's done outside of his own project, which is called Oddkey. But it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves, and very much, for what you're saying, I think, people like DMC, people like Todd, like it helps to validate, the space for people that are still, skeptical or feel like, everything happening in crypto and Web3 and NFTs is a scam. And, these little things help people kind of go, well, wait a second, if Todd McFarlane is on there, maybe I should give it another look. Or why is he doing this? He doesn't seem to be a stupid person.
Right. I think that's the big question that so many people are going to have is, why is he doing this?
And if you heard that, I think he had one of the best, I'm going to steal this as I talk to other people, because he had one of the best examples of, what he tells people when they ask about Web3, which is like, pull out your phone, look at, find some pictures of your kids or your dog or whatever you've got in your camera roll. Is that the real thing? No, it's a digital representation of that real thing.
Yeah.
And we have no problem with that. So this is a different type of digital representation of something else. And you can do some cool things with it, like send it to a friend.
And you can't even prove ownership of the pictures in your own phone.
Exactly. So it's a great conversation. If you're interested in, a true kind of veteran of the comics industry and one of the most important, independent comic creators of our lifetimes, and his point of view on all this stuff, it's a great interview, which is up for listening for anyone that needs to take a listen to that. So yes, very, very cool. Recommend that. Let's shift gears really quickly into MixPass territory. So for anyone that isn't familiar, MixPass is a new product category that we're in the early stages of bringing to market. I'm going to share screen here. You can see a little bit more about it at mixprint.xyz. And I'll explain that what this is a kind of revolutionary combination of technology and physical printing, kind of bespoke physical printing. And so what this allows us to do is to create one of X physical printed items. And so this applies to comics, vinyl records, books, movie posters, toy packaging, anything you can print. We've created this, really unique technology to be able to, bring essentially what is a generative collection to a physical product. And so we've announced two things. One is we were launching this with a kind of an early offer for people that want to get access to the first MixPrint collections, and that's with this MixPass. We're partnered with Magic Eden to do this launch a little bit later this year. And when you pre-order a MixPass, when we do drop the NFTs for this, they'll get automatically put into your wallet, and then you'll use your MixPass to claim the first 3 MixPrint products for free and get additional perks on everything else that we do through the MixPrint line. In the comic side of things, we've announced our first comics partnership with Titan Comics. And I think I'm clear to say now that the first 2 titles, which we're working on with Titan, is Conan and Blade Runner. So 2 massive IPs from the Titan collection, where you'll be able to collect kind of some important issues from Titan, where every single cover is unique. And so that's the thing that's really amazing about this. If you've ever walked into a comic store, or if you've ever done any kind of physical collecting, You think Pokemon cards, think whatever you've picked up in the past. If every single one was a unique variation, I put it this way for myself. Like I walk into a comic store and a book that I like, there's 5 copies of it there and every single cover is different. I'm probably walking out with at least 2 or 3 of those. And so
I was literally just thinking like, man, even with one locked in, like how many more am I gonna buy?
And that does some of this stuff that we've been talking about, which I think is so fun in NFTs. It brings it to the physical world in the really the fun of collecting these kinds of things. The other thing, which I think is really cool, is it creates 2 secondary markets because these comics drops will be tokenized. So you'll be able to have an NFT for the full collection, which you would never be able to see otherwise. And that's why I think this is where blockchain, putting this on chain, really brings something special to this technology. Is we could do it without the NFT component, but you'd never be able to see, let's say, 10,000 variations of that cover because they would all be in different retail locations. So you'd never be able to see the full collection. So by bringing them on chain, you can actually see the full collection, collect the ones that you want, buy, sell, trade, on the secondary market or in the primary mint. And then redeem those NFTs for the physical copies. And so you get the ones you want, redeem them at any time for the physical copies. Or in the flip side of that, there will be certain cases where you buy them physical and then claim the digital twin. And then you have that same kind of ability to do some trading around it. But that creates a way to see the full collection and engage with the full collection, find the ones you love. There'll be all other types of rarity because they're physical. So there might be things like glow in the dark or, embossed foil covers and things like that add more tiers of rarity. But then there's a secondary market, which is the actual physical thing. So like, Tiny, you've been collecting some comics and then selling some of the ones that you've been collecting. And so, like there's a thriving secondary market for comic books on eBay and other outlets. And so being able to have both the NFT secondary market and the physical secondary market as some of these become more rare and more coveted is a pretty exciting.
I can definitely say I've seen so many people say comics physicals are dead and comics thrown away. It's thriving, man. The shops around here stay packed. And you get on all kinds of eBay and secondary sales markets. And, you may not be selling off boxes of modern comics that are, $1, $2 books. But when people are still looking for collectibles, the big name stuff, people are looking and they're paying top dollar.
Yeah, the physical collectibles market is not going down. It is up only. And we just had our biggest, I say R in the comics fan community sense, which is the biggest single issue sale at auction just a couple of weeks ago. $6 million for a single, comic issue. So this is an area where the combination of the digital collectible, the generative one of X approach to it, and then the ability to also, have those physical kind of secondary market as well as just collectability in general. Like I think it makes for a very exciting offering. I will say, like, we have talked to a bunch of different people about this technology and what we can do with it. And we have yet to meet the person that isn't like, I want to do that. How do we do that? So I think there's a lot coming down the mixed print pipe, so to speak. Comics will be one of the first areas, but not the only area. So if this is interesting to you, the way to get involved right now is through the Mix Pass. And again, you can find that link in our Discord, or we'll even hook you up with a discount code in the Discord, or through the website at mixprint.xyz. So, we're slow rolling this right now as we make some more, as we're able to show more. So for example, as we're able to show previews of artwork and things like that, we'll start to push it a little bit more. But I think it's just there have been a number of kind of early pre-sales. And so I want to let those people know that this project is very much alive and well, and a lot is coming down the road for those early Mix Pass holders. And we've decided, because of the people that have decided to jump in early, the first 222 mix passes are going to get automatically upgraded to what we call this kind of silver tier. So they come with a little extra, some extra perks and discounts and things. And so, the first 222 that, people that jump in, you'll be the kind of core of this collector community that we want to build. And we've got some fun stuff planned for that as well. So anyway, that's the Mix Pass Mix Print update, and I'll put that in the Discord too, because I know a couple people were asking about it.
I was gonna say, you had mentioned earlier that you were gonna put some stuff up in the Discord, so I was definitely gonna say, come in. If you have questions watching this, come in, ping us, open a ticket. But there should be some stuff coming up as well.
Yeah, there definitely is. So we've got an update, and I was thinking a little bit more. I'm not going to commit to it right at this moment, but for those that have gotten in, we did a little push around Mix Pass and Mix Print about a month ago or so, as we were just starting to announce the relationship with Titan and what the product was. And a number of people did go ahead and do pre-orders at that point. And so, again, I just want to make sure those people know we appreciate you. We haven't gone anywhere. This is 100% happening. In fact, there's even more happening since that early push. But we stopped as much promotion, knowing that we want to be able to start to show some of the actual product that we're working on. And so, again, kind of making this early, adding to what you get as an early adopter rather than subtracting from anybody else. I think there's a good balance there. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody that's been around the last year or two knows that good things come. So, I mean,
good things come. They never come as fast as I want them to, but good things do come.
I don't want to say never, but I mean, there's been a couple times that things have taken a little bit longer, but God, the end product has been phenomenal on absolutely everything. So,
I appreciate that. I am proud of it. And there's a whole other category of things that I am desperate to talk about that I can't talk about yet, but we'll tie into all of this as well. So over the next month, we're gonna. My prediction is within the next 4 weeks, we're gonna have actually a pretty big announcement, which will add more to Mix Pass, add more to Drip House. It's like, everything is always about connecting all these dots. So there's very excited about that. And then final thing is, let's talk about storytelling sessions, which kicked off this week as well. So in fact, instead of me talking about it, Tiny, you've been through it. So let me shut up and talk about storytelling sessions.
Well, so, I mean, it was storytelling 101 to me at its finest. I mean, a pure introduction for anybody that is new or just coming in. And it I don't want to say, you guys, it's not too late. I don't want to say you didn't miss anything. Go back and listen to the recording. But if you did miss the first episode or the first installment, it's not too late. Basically, where we started off is talking about finding a character and building on that backstory and who that character is, and what are they like? What do they do for work? What do they aspire to be? Whatever questions you may come up with, but and I think my big takeaway there is just building that background, that core story, whether it's even part of the big story that it leads to, knowing who that character is inside and out. And that's kind of where we're starting out, I think, in my take anyway.
Yeah, so I will double down and say you haven't missed anything. You're not too late. And a little more context about what this is. So one of the things we realized early on as we were falling down the Web3 rabbit hole now 2+ years ago is that there were tens of thousands, now hundreds of thousands of PFPs that have been put onto the blockchain. And before we, became the stewards of Bushido's and Vogu and the Qual Intelligence Agency, and even before we became the stewards of the GSA, like we started to think about, there are all of these profile pictures, which a lot of people are looking at, especially at that point, as like, this will be your digital identity. This is how you're going to represent yourself in the metaverse. Like, there's a lot of that conversation going on. But to me and to us, these are all characters. And so the best PFP collections in my mind suggest some sort of story, some sort of world that these characters all live inside of. Just the nature of the generative art in a PFP collection means they're all related. And so that means that there's some connection between these characters. And so as we got involved with the Galactic Secret Agency project, the first one that we worked on in this capacity, it really started to make a lot of sense to me, and a lot of the theses and theories that I'd kind of been building in my own head were able to kind of put into practice with that community and with that project, and now across multiple projects, where the basic concept is that because you own these PFPs, you own these NFTs, these are the atomic unit of storytelling. Characters are the atomic unit of storytelling. And as we talk about in the Web3 space, they're now composable elements of storytelling. And so being able to bring characters that you as an individual can own and control and utilize that IP in various different ways, you can also bring those characters and plug them into the larger universe that we collectively either develop or agree on as kind of the rules or the playground that these characters exist inside of. And so for each of the collections inside of Macroverse, there's a framework for what that world is. We have a sense of like, what is the world that Dead Town takes place in? What is the world that the Vogu characters exist in, or the GSA exist in? In the case of the GSA and Bushido's, we developed those rules of the playground with the community as well. So, we came to a consensus about, this is the general framework that these stories are going to take place inside of. And so then, because we have the experience to kind of do this, it's like we've, essentially figured out this methodology around how do you take the concepts of a television writer's room and apply that to a larger community activity, such as creating stories for these characters that you own inside of these worlds. And so we do that over about a 6-week, period of time. Every week is another session where we focus in on a particular aspect of storytelling. And it's a pretty focused exercise of being able to say, you own a character in this world. Who is that character? What do they care about? What do they want? And then what journey or adventure or story are we going to bring them on to create a corner or a pocket of this universe that your character exists inside of? So, Tiny has done this with multiple projects at this point. And I was going to say, yeah.
And we mentioned, I think we've mentioned, it might've been last week, but I said that this is almost, in my opinion, this is as good as a writer's course that you would, pay for and go take in school, in my opinion. Not that I've done that to compare it to, but the amount of stuff that I've learned, and even that's people sharing PDF breakdowns of how to write, how to script, how, just things like I never would have known how to write a script. You know what I mean? And I can now. It may not be great, but I can do it maybe. But no, but these are things that we go over, and this is each week, and it's with people, and it's fun, and I encourage everyone to do it. And the big thing I was going to say is it's kind of like Drip House, where, with Drip House, your entry is $1 or a couple dollars to get in and thank people. And here, if this is somebody that wants to, get a character, how do I get this character and how do I participate? Well, it's easy. They're NFTs, and a lot of them are not very expensive at the moment. And then not only that, there's people like myself and other people in the community that might have some extras and are willing to either kind of pseudo stake them to where you can write using our characters, or possibly, possibly give one away if you're lucky enough.
It's also not an accident that we've put out a bunch of characters to the Drip House channel. So, there's a role for those to play here as well. And, as Tiny said, there's a lot of these collections, which, the plus side to the bear market, I suppose, in this context is that, they are pretty accessible for most people. So, if you want to come play, we'll figure out a way for you to play. And, as Tiny said, or alluded to as well, if you just want to kind of see the process and be a part of the process, even if I think it's very important to say, if you don't see yourself as a writer, but you're a fan of any kind of television show, movie, or comic book, you'll still get something out of this process, because it's about the sharing of ideas and concepts and our own points of view that really make this an additive experience. It's not about me telling you what to do or us telling you what to do. It's about us coming together and brainstorming and throwing out ideas which lead to other ideas, which allow us to kind of come to agreements around elements of the world and those sorts of things. That's the magic of it. That's why we do it this way. That's why a TV writer's room is done the way that it's done. Is it's generally a bunch of people that are throwing around ideas and plussing up other people's thoughts, or saying like, I disagree, what about this, and then finding a common ground. It's that process that creates some of the best things that we've all fallen in love with over the past decade, and further back. So I want to show one thing about this, just so you get a clear sense of kind of what it looks like. And then I think that'll kind of be pretty much what we'll wrap up with tonight. So this is the Macroverse Discord. And you can see this last post here in the announcements channel is about this. We call this the maker's room. And so the writer's room, a little feedback early on was that, when we call it a writer's room, people think they have to be writers. You don't have to identify as a writer to be a part of this process. Although writers are certainly welcome, but so are artists and anybody else that wants to play. So we wanted to make this a little more focused this time. So we created a special role in the Discord called the creator role. So all you need to do is find this announcements channel, hit that link to the Macroverse Enter channel, claim the creator role by clicking this little button. If you do see yourself as a writer or an artist, you can claim those roles as well. So we have a sense of different ways that we can do stuff together over time. And then once you're in this section, this Maker's Room forum is where we're rolling these out. So there's a Maker's Room session and updates. This is where there's a kind of larger conversation around some context for how we're doing this, why we're doing this, how it all works, what it looks like as it rolls out. This came off the back of a bunch of town halls we did across our various collections. And then here is actual session 1, where we get into the more specific, you own a character, now what? And there's 2 things that you can do from here after you listen to the session, hopefully. But there's a place to submit story ideas here in the story crafting section. And so you can either submit a story with one of your characters. Here's one of Tiny's. So, kind of a breakdown of, and actually this is a little further along where you're seeing the actual kind of result of that with pages of the comic itself. But here's my example story. Let's see. Yeah. So, there's a example that you can just literally copy and paste and then fill in your own information and attach your character. Or if you're not sure, what you want to do at this point, you've got some characters in our worlds or others that you don't mind people playing with, then you can also just submit those characters for casting, and anyone else in the community can then say, hey, I'd like to use that character as the lead of a story, as a background character, as a secondary character, but you're basically making these characters available for other people to play with. So those are the 2 things that we've asked people to do for this week. And then next week, we do this every Wednesday afternoon and then record and post the sessions. But next week, we'll get into kind of the initial breakdown and kind of how we recommend thinking about the journey that these characters are going to go on and starting to think about that. So that's how that works and what that looks like. And this is a perfect time to come and start, because you'll never be too late, but I'll definitely say you'll get more out of it by participating in real time than coming to it later.
Yeah. Well, and I think we all get more out of it. The more people that are there, the more we get out of it, the more fun it is. And I think that's been, like you said, I've been through it a few times. At this point, I don't want to say I'm not going back for the knowledge, because I'm always learning something. There's something more I catch each time, but I'm still showing up because it's turned into a passion, and I've made so many good friends, and it's so much fun just to go through the process. And every single time where I say, like, I still sometimes feel like, hey, like I'm maybe not a writer, but I keep writing. So, and it's the same thing we've told some other people, like, you're a writer, like that's what you do. So,
it's by definition, yes.
So, it's just by being there, it has turned me into a writer. And, man, I'm grateful. I love it. But I can't say how much I encourage people to come, even if you just come and don't say anything and hang out in the background. Like, you never know what'll spark that spark, and maybe you'll show up the next week and have a million things to say.
Yeah. Well, I also think, like, I don't know, and I won't say everyone, but a lot of people have walked out of a movie or gotten to the end of an episode of a show and gone, like, you know what they should have done? They should have done this. Or, I loved it except for this part. Like, that's all you need. Bring those opinions to this process. That is all you need to get a lot out of it. So I do hope more people will come and participate. It's a fun thing that we enjoy doing. I think it's one of the things that we offer, which is pretty unique in this space. And I think over time, there's a lot of power in being able to build these worlds together. And I truly believe that some of these characters and stories will become as or more popular than the main series that we're working on. And I can't wait for that to happen. I want to see the Mandalorian to our Star Wars, come out of this process. And a couple of those characters might already have appeared. So, it's good. It's good stuff. So, my friend, with that, it is actually the day before my son's 10th birthday, or not 10th birthday, sorry, 8th birthday. My daughter is 10 and is 8, reminding myself there. 8th birthday. Not time traveling quite that far. Man,
time flies.
We promised him a pre-birthday ice cream party tonight, so I'm gonna head in that direction here.
I will be doing birthday celebrations this weekend for my son as well.
There you go. So there you go. They're in the same neighborhood.
Happy birthday. Enjoy.
But I appreciate you hosting this conversation as always, and we'll be back here again, same general time, same time-ish, and definitely same place. I guess I like to end with some call to actions. Come into the Macroverse Discord. Come play in the storytelling process. If you're even curious, I would say come check it out. If you've ever wanted to create your own IP or create your own stories, come and play for sure. Get on Drip House. I do think we are witnessing the birth of something very meaningful with what's happening on the Drip House platform. I've seen some previews of the mobile app, which is coming soon. I know that more Web 2 friendly onboarding is coming. So, these early days, to me, this is very much like early days of Instagram or anything that has, kind of become a real, kind of significant platform. So both as creators, I'm grateful to be on there. But also I think as collectors and people that, like to have fun with this kind of stuff, it's a good time to be engaging for sure. I'll also say, just for my point of view, as the CEO of Macroverse, I am determined that as we put more assets into the world, we find more ways to utilize those assets in ways that are beneficial to all the people that participate and support the things that we do. So that will never stop being part of the mission around what we build and how we, try to make things. And as that expands, if we can accomplish 20% of what I am trying to do here, everyone will be very happy. I'll just say that. Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot coming. There's a lot planned for this year. We just signed a major deal, which I can't wait to talk about. Oh, I gave a little piece of it away already. So that news is coming, and lots more coming as well. So Tiny, thank you, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week.
Next week.
Talk to you then.
Good night.